I will say this. The biggest problem in student ministry that I face or that I see is like the root of much of our problem in student ministry today. It's not the students, it's their parents.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's the old, because a lot of our students,
they're kids, man.
they're kids, and
they're a product of their environment.
Kids aren't going to come to church.
Not if their parents. Yeah.
If they're not made to come to church.
That's right.
Right.
Kids aren't going to read their Bible naturally if they're not being held accountable.
100%.
Much of the problem is parents aren't doing what God's called them to do. They're not discipling their kids.
It goes back to what we talked about, is God's called us, especially as men, to lead our families, and there's such a big lack of men leading their families. I can tell you so often, even here at Bethany, women are the spiritual leaders of their home because the man is not doing what God's called him to do. And that is not the right way. The woman should not have to carry that load as a spiritual leader of the family.
Yeah.
It should be the man. And you see that in student ministry, the effect of men not being who God's called them to be in their families, and it's affecting these students in such a bad way. So I just wanted to add that.
No, absolutely. And that was when you invited me a couple weeks to come preach at the Brotherhood, 2 Samuel chapter 10. That was one of the points that I really tried to emphasize, to the men of the church here. It was like, God hasn't called your wife to be the one holding the sword fighting for your family.
It's us.
The men of God have been called to stand in the doorway and defend their family, physically and spiritually.
Right.
But that's a big misconception in the church is that, some people think that it's the student pastor's job to disciple their children.
It's not.
And that's wrong.
So
the biblical pattern is
100%.
The student pastor only has them for a
couple hours
maybe 3 hours a week.
Yeah.
And
the parents got them the rest of the week.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a misconception.
And where does the world have them? How long does the world have
right.
them?
Every 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
At least.
There's an idea where it's, if people think the student pastor, like we're paying you to disciple our children.
No.
That ain't how that game works.